Half-Life Alyx needs no introduction in PC VR gaming history, and it's difficult to believe that a game launched way back in March 2020 is still the most iconic virtual reality game. The greatest of all time, many say. Of course, Valve needed a killer app to bundle with their famous Valve Index VR headset, and the game was bundled with a device, resulting in record sales, and Valve Index selling out worldwide ahead of its launch. Now in 2025, VR hardware has come on a very long way, and we now have an iconic VR headset, the Pimax Super. So we now have the next level hardware and also a new Pimax Player 1.41 software with GPU upscaling for both Nvidia and AMD hardware. This is Half-Life Alyx the Remastered for the best in 2025 VR technology. So thank you to Pimax for sponsoring this video and for providing all Next Level Sim Gaming subscribers not one, but two incredible offers. Get ready for an exclusive event, and this is a limited time offer only. Get an incredible 10% off the amazing Pimax Crystal Light from 5 PM to 11 PM on the 24th of August 2025, and by using the code NLSIMGaming10, and also by using the link in the video description. And if you already have a VR headset, you can trade in your VR headset and get a huge discount off the Pimax Crystal Light, and even better, you don't even have to send your existing headset back to Pimax. Use the link in the video description, this will take you straight to the Pimax site, where you simply submit your current VR headset information, and Pimax will review your submission normally within 2 working days and get back to you with a unique discount code. The only thing you'll need to provide is proof of purchase, and that's it. And if that's not enough to reward your loyalty as a Next Level Sim Gaming subscriber, you can also use the code NLSIMGaming_gift, and Pimax will also include a bonus gift such as DMAS headphones, top strap or facial foam. And don't worry, the Pimax Super is also going to be available on the trading offer too. It just doesn't get any more incredible than this. Now let's get straight into the action with Half-Life Alyx on the Pimax Super. This is Half-Life Alyx on the Pimax Super. Now, Half-Life Alyx needs no introduction to be probably the most iconic PC VR gaming title. And guys, I still, even now, probably for the 30th or 40th time of launching into this game on the Pimax Super, I'm just gobsmacked, absolutely gobsmacked, I really am. Now, there are many PC VR titles, but if you want to just mind blow your friends, your relatives, yourself, you have to play this game on the Pimax Super just once in your life. Because let me tell you this, again, Pimax have just knocked it out of the ballpark with this headset, with this GPU upscaling feature. Now, I've played this game before shooting this section of the video about 5-6 times, this section over and over again. We are now on Pimax render resolution 1.0, which is the maximum resolution of this headset, or high in Pimax Player, and I'm using the GPU upscaling NIS, which is the Nvidia GPU upscale method quality. I have never seen these buildings look so detailed. I can see everything into the vast expanse of the distance. It not only makes me really appreciate the sheer workmanship that's gone into the development of the software for this fantastic hardware. And thank you, Pimax, so much for just making this possible. But what it also makes me really appreciate is that Steam were so ahead of their time with this game. I firmly believe that this game was over-engineered, potentially at the time for the Valve Index and headsets of that era. Of course it was good, but it was never this good. I'm looking up at that structure up there, and I've never been able to see the fine detail, right even just up into the clouds. It's just simply mind-blowing. Okay, so let's get down to performance, and what we're going to look at in this video is not only appreciate Half-Life Alyx for this 5-year-old game that still wipes the floor with pretty much any, not only VR title, but even PC gaming titles out there. And also, a recent example of this is I recently played Battlefield 6 the beta, and really enjoyed it. You know what, guys, the graphics in this game are on par, maybe even better in some respects than Battlefield 6. I mean, if you could get Battlefield 6 in VR like this, my god, what an amazing game that would be. One day maybe. But this is just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Now, if you've never played Half-Life Alyx, of course this is all going to be fairly new to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a walk around this game, and we're just going to show the first level, Entanglement, and we're just going to show what Half-Life Alyx is all about. But you play as Alyx Vance, who is a leader of the future resistance. It carries on loosely from previous games, but I really wish that Valve would make a follow-up to this. I really do. But no matter how many times I play this game, there's always something new to see, and there's always something that will have your jaw on the floor. It's a really immersive, truly interesting game that there's nothing really out there that can match. The only thing I've played maybe on par with this recently is Cyberpunk 2077 using the Luke Ross VR mod, and that's something I do want to revisit using the Pimax Super and fully modded. So if that's a video you'd like to see, leave it in the comments below. So let's talk about performance first of all. Using this GPU upscaling method, we're getting 90 FPS. It's 90 Hz mode on the Pimax Super. We're getting 90 FPS solid, which is probably no surprise, using an RTX 5090 and an Intel Core Ultra 9285K. And here we go with the comments. I'm sick of YouTubers and their high-end systems, and I get that, guys, I really do. And actually, I'm going to highlight a comment just above, just in the corner of the screen here, to that effect. Now, it also brings me on to a little idea that I had. Now, don't get me wrong, I do this as a hobby. I really enjoy the channel. I do work a day job as well, and it can be a challenge sometimes doing these videos. And I do understand where people are coming from with this. Now, these videos don't make a huge amount of revenue. In fact, negligible, really. For the time and efforts that's involved in doing and recording these videos, editing them and everything else, and all the work that goes behind the scenes with YouTube, it is quite a difficult job in itself. But what I am proposing to do, and let me know in the comments if this is something you'd like to see, is I was thinking if I was to get a 4070 Ti or a 5070 Ti, then I could do a disparity between the two. Now, of course, Pimax aren't pitching this headset as something that you should be running with 3060 or something, for example. This is aimed at the higher end of VR hardware, and hence the reason why the video is as it is. It's almost like a celebration of Half-Life Alyx and the first time on the Pimax Super. You know, this was one of the first titles I actually tried on the Pimax Super, and I was absolutely blown away, and still am. Even more so now we've got this new GPU upscaling method as well. But I was getting around 85-ish FPS with this game at 1.0 render resolution and the highest settings. 85 FPS is still got a 90 Hz headset, right? But now we're getting a solid 90 FPS. But let's go one step above that. If I was recording on the same PC previously, I would be getting around maybe 75, 80 FPS. Now I'm getting 90 still, and I'm recording this on the same PC you're watching it on now. Absolutely incredible. Now the other criticism is that people have said is, okay, well, we're watching this and we're sick of these VR, it's not like it is in the headset. So what I've also done to accompany this game is done a series of YouTube shorts that you may have seen, and if you haven't, at the relevant points we get to within the game, I'm also going to show you on screen those same sections through the lens that I've shot with a DJI Pocket 3. So it's a win-win situation. Not only are you getting to see the performance aspects of the game with the new GPU upscaling method and Pimax Player 1.41, you're also hopefully getting a good rendition of what it looks like through the lens. But let me also say that through the lens, I watch these videos back, obviously as I'm editing, and I'm thinking it doesn't really look as good as what it looks like through the lens. And the same thing goes for the Pimax Crystal Light as well. The only VR headset I would say without haste that does look better in footage on the video than it does through the lens is probably the Quest 3 out of the headsets I do videos with. There's a big screen door effect, and of course it's not direct display port. This is direct display port, and what I'm seeing through the headset here is absolutely immense. It's far better than what you're seeing actually at the moment on the screen. So when we get to that section, you'll see that. So with the new GPU upscale, it's amazing. Now there's also a sharpening feature as well, so I did do what Pimax did in their video when I turned the GPU upscale off and turned the sharpening on, and yes, I was still getting 90 FPS, but it crashed a couple of times. Now I'm not too sure if that was an issue of the game or whether I was trying to record at the same time, so unfortunately I had to scrap that. And I've noticed a couple of Reddit users also reporting the same, whether that's a conflict with maybe the NVIDIA control panel settings or not, I'm not too sure, and it will require some further investigation. It's still fairly new into this and I haven't had as much time to look at this new feature as I would like, but initial findings are, in a few games I've tested already, so we've not only got this, as you can see, amazing, we've also got F1 2025, amazing performance uplift in that, around 20% I would say. In Le Mans Ultimate, 25% maybe, absolutely amazing, and once again I'll link that video at the end of this one. That's the first video I've actually done on the new Pimax 1.41 update, but it seems to be universal, and other Reddit users are also reporting the same as well, which is fantastic. Not only are Pimax giving you this amazing hardware, they are giving you the supporting software with it, and that is ultimately the most important thing here, because what good is the hardware without the software to support it? So we're going to have a little play through this first part of the game, and for those who have not seen Half-Life Alyx before, this is Half-Life Alyx. Absolutely incredible. It is the most interactive and the most amazing VR title you're probably ever going to see.
It's good, Dad.
And to give you an idea of the interactivity levels, I'm going to just take this pen and I'm going to write on the window here. And my writing's absolutely terrible in real life as well as in the virtual life. So if we write here, next level, sim.
Don't get greedy, guys. We're not made of time here.
1 minute and I'm out, guaranteed.
And I told my writing was absolutely terrible, so just to prove a point, there we are. Now, so terrible, I'm going to rub it off, as you can see. And just as an example of,
well, we'll look into it.
you know, the levels of interactivity, I mean, even though I wasn't holding the eraser correctly there, you can see that it even detects sight. Absolutely amazing. The developers of this game and the attention to detail is just unbelievable. Now I'm using a teleport method here, which is how I prefer to play the game normally, but there are of course a number of ways you can control the game. There's smooth motion, and there's also different turning methods as well, and it's going to pop up with some little pointers just here, just showing me obviously the controls as we go along, because remember this is the opening part of the game here, the first level. As we step outside here, you're going to see a mechanoid appear. Now, another thing about this as well is, you know, we mentioned what you're seeing on screen in two-dimensional format. This looks like I could literally touch it. You know, this is absolutely incredible, and I'll never forget the first time I played Half-Life Alyx on the Pico 4, and I was mind blown, I really was, and at that point I thought, okay, I need to get a proper PC VR headset. And I then ended up getting a Quest Pro, probably not the best choice, although fantastic headset and did work really well in PC VR. It wasn't until I got the Pimax Crystal Light, which is a true direct display port, dedicated PC VR headset, that I really appreciated VR gaming, I'll be quite honest with you. And the Meta Quest line have come on a long way, admittedly, but there's still nothing that can match the sheer visual fidelity that you get with a direct display port headset. And we're going to move on to a really iconic section of the game just here. It's going to turn around and we're just going to look at this little chap in this glass case here. You've maybe seen this in a number of YouTube shorts and videos and things, but the colours and the textures and everything just absolutely pops on the Pimax Super, I have to say. It really is a mind-blowing headset, it really is, isn't it, chap? Standing up a moment as well, and moving over here. This board, and I mentioned this in a previous video as well, this board on the wall here, the colours were the first thing that struck me about the Pimax Super and how everything just pops and stands out, and it's absolutely mind-blowing, I have to say. Now, you've probably seen all these sections within the video, but as I mentioned, the interactivity, every object more or less is interactive, and it just gives you a real amazing perception of depth and appreciation for the game, really. So we're going to move into one of the first sections where we get to meet an NPC, so one of Alyx's friends. So moving down in the lift, and as you can see here, the wooden textures and everything, the reflections are just absolutely amazing. Now, this is again a game that's 5 years old, and I mentioned already that the graphics are absolutely incredible.
I'm headed back
But
to the safe house right now to meet Dad.
we're talking about ray trace reflections and things like this, and just the shadows, and everything is, as mentioned, it's Half-Life remastered. One real key attribute that the Pimax Super has is it really turns any PC VR game into a remastered edition. So that goes for pretty much every game I've played so far on this headset. It revolutionizes, is I suppose one word you could say, existing PC games and turns them into a remastered edition. A bit like playing The Last of Us on the PlayStation 4 and then playing The Last of Us remastered on the PC. In the same way, the Pimax Super does this, and it does it for free, with obviously the cost of the hardware, etc. behind it. And I see things now within this game, maybe because of the extra levels of depth and detail that the GPU upscaling is offering, but I'll be honest, I've not really noticed before. Even just the rain on the floor just here, it's just the little things like that that completely stand out. Now we're going to move into this building just here, and I do apologise for the fast teleportation, which probably looks a little bit strange on screen. How rude, hello. And then we're going to move into another iconic section of the game. Now this is the part where I'm going to then move on to show you the through the lens footage I took. So the through the lens footage is shot using a DJI Pocket 3, which is a 4K camera. So even though the actual 4K aspects will match, unfortunately the Pimax Super, or fortunately rather, is a 90Hz headset. But the DJI Pocket, or even if I was to use my Sony ZV-10, or even my iPhone as well, it won't match the actual render resolution. Sorry, it won't match the frame rates of the actual headset. So this is a section I'm going to move between the actual section where I captured using the through the lens footage, and then you'll also see on screen flickering back between the actual in-game footage I'm showing you here, which is recorded using the OpenXR capture method. And once again, this is an iconic part of the game, and through the headset, when you first play this game, bearing in mind this is the first open level, it just sets you up for the game. It's probably one of the most iconic starting levels in any VR title. So Half-Life Alyx is a very well optimised game in VR on all formats, and as mentioned in the video, I was getting around 85 FPS using the same settings but with no GPU upscaling. But with the GPU upscaling, I was getting a solid 90 FPS at 90Hz on the Pimax Super, and that's with Pimax render resolution set to 1.0 or high, with no foveated rendering or quad views enabled. Now with my PC specification you would expect such levels of performance, but the real test, and this is especially exciting for content creators, I was getting 90 FPS at 90Hz even when recording footage using OBS with a 4K camera and the OpenVR plugin. Now the same scenario using non-GPU upscaling NIS, I was getting sub 80 FPS previously. Now that's a huge performance improvement of around 20%. And this also proves consistent across some other games I've tested so far. So in Automo Ballista 2, previously I was getting on high settings around 70 FPS, but with upscaling enabled I'm getting now between 85 and 90. And the same goes for Le Mans Ultimate. Now a number of subscribers and viewers have commented about in-game settings on both Pimax Player in-game and PC spec, so to make things easily viewable and accessible, I will now be adding to each video a clickable link which will show you all this information in notepad form, clearly listed. But as always, remember individual results will vary based upon your PC specification and in-game settings. As always, thank you once again for watching, and I will be doing a full review of the Pimax Super in an upcoming video. But rather than a generic unboxing cut and paste video, I wanted to spend some time with the headset to let me test a number of games and of course allow for the software updates to match the hardware and identify anything important along the way that will help you. But until next time, thank you for all the likes, subscribes and shares, and take care, and I'll see you again in the next video.